You used to trust yourself. You used to know what you felt, what you saw, what happened. But somewhere along the way, that certainty has started to slip. Now you second guess everything. You apologize constantly. You feel confused in ways you can't explain. And you've started to wonder, quietly in your most private moments, if maybe you really are the problem. You are not the problem, but something has been done to you. Something deliberate, something that has a name. It's called gaslighting, and by the end of this video, you will know exactly what it is, how to recognize it, and what to do about it. Welcome to MindFrame Lab, where we decode human behavior. Gaslighting has become one of the most discussed terms in psychology, and for good reason. It is one of the most insidious forms of psychological manipulation that exists, precisely because it doesn't attack you directly. It attacks your ability to trust yourself. The term comes from a 1944 film called Gaslight, in which a husband systematically manipulates his wife into believing she is losing her mind. The tactics depicted in that film, denying reality, distorting memory, making the victim feel unstable, are the same tactics used by gaslighters today, and they are far more common than most people realize. Gaslighting works by systematically undermining your trust in your own perception of reality. It typically begins with small things: a denial of something that was clearly said, a reframing of an event that you remember differently, a suggestion that your emotional response to something was disproportionate or irrational. Each individual incident might seem minor, forgettable, maybe even your fault, but over time, the accumulation of these moments creates something profound. You stop trusting your own mind, and once that happens, the gaslighter has complete control, because a person who doesn't trust their own perception of reality becomes entirely dependent on someone else to tell them what is real, and that someone else is the very person doing the gaslighting. The most common gaslighting phrases sound like this: that never happened. You're imagining things. You're too sensitive. You're overreacting. You're crazy. I never said that. You always do this. Notice that none of these phrases address the actual concern. They all redirect the conversation to a problem with you, your memory, your emotions, your stability. That redirection is the mechanism. The goal is never resolution. The goal is destabilization. So how do you know if gaslighting is happening to you? The first sign is that you constantly doubt yourself in ways you didn't before this relationship. Everyone has moments of self-doubt, but gaslighting creates a pervasive, chronic uncertainty about your own perception. You find yourself replaying conversations, trying to figure out if you misunderstood. You feel unsure of your memories. You start prefacing statements with, maybe I'm wrong, but, or I might be imagining this, but even when you're not. The second sign is that you feel confused after almost every interaction with this person. Healthy conversations, even difficult ones, leave you with some sense of clarity, even if the clarity is that you disagree. Gaslighting conversations leave you more confused than when you started. You came in knowing something was wrong. You left wondering if you're the problem. The third sign is that you find yourself constantly apologizing, not just for things you've done, but for things you feel, things you said, things you needed. You apologize for having needs at all, because over time, the gaslighter has made every expression of your reality feel like an imposition or an attack. The fourth sign is that you feel like you're walking on eggshells. You monitor yourself constantly. You choose your words carefully. You manage your emotions before expressing them, not because the other person has asked you to be considerate, but because you have learned that expressing yourself authentically consistently leads to conflict, confusion, or being told you're wrong. The fifth sign is that other people in your life have noticed a change in you. Friends or family members may have commented that you seem different, less confident, more anxious, more apologetic, withdrawn. When the people who knew you before the relationship can see a shift, that is a significant signal worth paying attention to. If you recognize these signs in your own life, here is what you can do. The first thing is to start keeping a record. Write things down, not to build a legal case, but to anchor your own reality. When something happens that feels wrong, write it down immediately. What was said, how it made you feel, what your perception was. Over time, your own written record becomes a reference point that is harder to gaslight than your memory alone. The second thing is to talk to someone outside the relationship. Gaslighting is most effective in isolation. The gaslighter's version of reality becomes dominant when there is no outside perspective to check it against. Talking to a trusted friend, a family member, or a therapist, someone who knew you before, can help you recalibrate what is actually happening. The third thing is to trust your body, not just your mind. Your nervous system is registering something even when your mind has been convinced otherwise. That knot in your stomach, that sense of dread before a conversation, that feeling of relief when they leave the room. These physical responses are data. They are your body accurately reporting that something is wrong, even when your mind has been trained to explain it away. The fourth thing, and the most important, is to understand that you cannot logic your way out of a gaslighting dynamic while still inside it. Gaslighting is not a misunderstanding that can be resolved through better communication. It is a deliberate pattern of control. The only path out is to stop trying to convince the gaslighter that your reality is valid and start rebuilding your trust in yourself, ideally with professional support. If you watched this video and recognized yourself in what was described, trust that recognition. That clarity, however uncomfortable, is the beginning of something important, because you cannot protect yourself from something you cannot name. Now you can name it. Your perception is not broken. Your memory is not faulty. Your feelings are not too much. What happened to you is real and you deserve to be believed, starting with yourself. Subscribe to MindFrame Lab for more decoded human behavior every week. See you in the next one.